You've been told your whole life to set goals, big goals, ambitious goals. Write them down, visualize them, chase them. And maybe you did. You wrote them neatly on a page, promised yourself this time would be different, and you felt that flicker of motivation right in your chest. But a few days later, the spark faded. You got tired. Life got busy. The excitement turned into pressure. And the goal, the beautiful goal, started to feel like another burden. You wondered why it happens every time. Why do motivation and discipline seem to fade so fast? Why does chasing something meaningful sometimes feel like you're chasing smoke? The truth is simple, but rarely spoken. Goals don't fail because you're weak. They fail because goals depend on emotion. And emotion is temporary. Motivation is like fire. It burns bright, but it doesn't last forever. And when it fades, you're left in the dark, unless you've built something stronger. That something is a system. A system doesn't depend on your mood. It doesn't care whether you feel inspired today or tired tomorrow. It runs quietly in the background, like a rhythm your life starts to hum along to. Goals are about results. Systems are about process. Goals say, I want to lose 10 kilos. A system says, I'll walk every morning at 6. Goals say, I want to become successful. A system says, I'll spend 90 minutes every day working on my craft. Goals want change to happen once. Systems make change inevitable. When you set a goal, you create a moment of hope. When you build a system, you create a pattern of success. The world celebrates goals because they sound exciting. They look good on paper, they feel grand when you say them out loud. But systems are quiet. They're built in the shadows, one habit at a time, one small decision at a time. No applause, no instant reward, just rhythm. And yet, it's rhythm, not random bursts of energy, that creates transformation. There's a kind of magic that happens when you stop asking yourself what you want and start asking how you live. Because when your system becomes aligned with your purpose, you stop chasing change, and change starts chasing you. You begin to see your days differently. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop making promises to your future self. Instead, you start building a life that naturally produces the outcome you want. Think about it. If you have a system that guarantees you'll write every morning, you don't need to set a goal to write a book. You'll wake up one day and realize the book has already written itself through the process you trusted. If your system ensures you move your body daily, you don't need a goal to get fit. You'll simply become fit because the system led you there. Systems are quiet, but their results speak loudly. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually, inevitably. The system is not about forcing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. You build systems not to restrict your life, but to release your potential. When your actions are automatic, you save energy for creativity, for presence, for joy. The real discipline isn't doing the hard thing once. It's designing your environment so the hard thing becomes easy. This is what systems do. They remove friction. They protect your focus. They make consistency the default. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer decisions. Every time you rely on willpower, you're gambling with emotion. But every time you rely on systems, you're investing in certainty. So how do systems begin? Not with a grand plan, not with a motivational speech. They begin with one quiet decision to stop being the person who tries and become the person who does. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to build the first routine. Maybe it's waking up and making your bed. Maybe it's writing one paragraph. Maybe it's drinking water before coffee. Tiny acts that seem too small to matter, but this is where systems live. Because every tiny act sends a message to your identity. It says, "This is who I am now." Systems are identity statements disguised as habits. You don't go to the gym to lose weight. You go because you're someone who values strength. You don't meditate to feel calm. You meditate because you're someone who chooses peace. You don't work every day because you love discipline. You do it because you're building a life that deserves discipline. Day by day, the system grows roots. You stop forcing progress. You start living it. You begin to realize something profound. Goals exist in the future. Systems exist in the present. And the present is the only place where change is possible. You can't live in tomorrow's promise. You can only act in today's reality. So when you fall in love with systems, you fall in love with now. And that's where life happens. Not in dreams, not in plans, but in the quiet rhythm of your daily choices. Maybe you're listening to this because you've set goals before and they didn't stick. Maybe you're tired of starting over. If that's you, take a deep breath. You haven't failed. You were just using the wrong model. You were chasing outcomes instead of designing processes. And now you're learning the truth most people never discover. That success isn't something you pursue. It's something you practice. When you stop chasing goals and start building systems, life stops being a race and becomes a rhythm. And in that rhythm, you find peace.
When you stop living by goals, something interesting begins to happen. At first, it feels like you've lost direction. There's no finish line, no target to obsess over, no countdown to success. It feels strange, even uncomfortable, because we've been trained to chase things that can be measured. But slowly, quietly, you start to feel lighter. Without the pressure of a goal, you begin to rediscover the beauty of doing something for its own sake. You realize that systems don't just help you achieve things, they teach you how to live differently. They shift your focus from what you want to who you're becoming. And that is the real magic. Because every system you build is not about results. It's about identity. It's not about reaching the top of the mountain. It's about learning to climb with grace. Think about a musician. If they only cared about performing on stage, they would never survive the endless practice sessions, the quiet rooms, the repetitive scales. But musicians who fall in love with their system, the daily repetition, the sound of progress, they don't need the stage to feel fulfilled. The system itself becomes their reward. You need to find something like that, a system that feels like home, something you can return to every day, not because you have to, but because it reminds you of who you are. Most people think discipline is about restriction. They imagine systems as cages, cold, repetitive, boring. But the truth is the opposite. Systems are freedom. They give you permission to stop overthinking. They remove the chaos of choice. They protect your energy for the things that matter. Every small habit, every tiny ritual is like a gear in the clockwork of your life. When they all align, time itself feels smoother. You don't have to push anymore. You just flow. And that flow, that rhythm, is where real transformation hides. You see, the problem with goals is not that they're wrong, it's that they're fragile. The moment life interrupts them, they crumble. But systems adapt. They're flexible, alive. They don't care if you fall behind. They wait for you to return. Imagine someone trying to write a book. A goal says, I'll finish this book in 6 months. A system says, I'll write 1 page every morning. Now, imagine they miss a day. The goal feels like failure. The system? It simply continues. It forgives. It endures. This is the secret. Systems are built on forgiveness. Goals are built on expectation. When you live by expectations, you punish yourself for being human. When you live by systems, you design a life that accepts humanity and moves anyway. You start to see effort differently. You stop asking, how far am I from the goal? And start asking, did I show up for my system today? That one question is the most compassionate form of accountability. It doesn't demand perfection, it just asks for presence. Did you show up? Did you give what you could? Did you honor the rhythm, even if only for 5 minutes? If the answer is yes, then you succeeded. Because systems reward consistency, not intensity. Every system has a heartbeat, a rhythm that defines the pace of your life. When your actions begin to align with that rhythm, your stress fades. You start to trust yourself again. You don't have to wonder whether you'll make it. You just do the work. You don't need constant motivation. You just follow your design. It's like setting a compass instead of chasing a horizon. A compass doesn't show you the destination, it keeps you pointed in the right direction, no matter where you are. Systems do that. They quietly keep you on course, even when storms come. You will still have bad days. Days when everything feels heavy, when your mind resists, when progress feels invisible. But when you live by systems, bad days lose their power. Because even when you can't give 100%, you still give something. And that something keeps the system alive. You begin to learn the value of small wins, tiny victories that never make headlines but change your life silently. The days that you didn't quit, they matter more than the days you felt unstoppable. Because systems are built not by what you do on your best days, but by what you still do on your worst days. There's a deep peace that comes when you start trusting your system more than your feelings. When you no longer need to wake up inspired to keep moving. You become like a river, steady, unhurried, unstoppable. And the people around you will notice. They'll say you've changed, that you're calmer, more focused, that your energy feels grounded. They won't see the system. They'll just see the results. But you'll know. You'll know it was the quiet work, the invisible habits, the tiny, boring daily things that built the version of you they now admire. And one day, you'll look back and smile at how far you've come. Not because of one grand goal you achieved, but because of the systems you refused to abandon. You'll realize you never needed more motivation. You just needed better architecture. A life designed to carry you forward, even when your emotions don't. This is the beauty of systems. They don't demand you to be your best every day. They simply ask you to show up and let time do the rest. Because transformation isn't a sudden explosion, it's the quiet hum of repetition, the music of consistency.
Somewhere along this journey, you begin to understand something profound. That the secret to lasting change is not in doing more, but in designing better. You've spent so many years trying to fix yourself through willpower, pushing harder, planning bigger, but never pausing to ask, what if the problem isn't me, but the system I live in? Think about it. You wake up late, scroll through your phone, feel guilty, then rush into the day. You don't lack discipline. You just built a morning that steals it from you. Your environment either feeds your system or fights it. And the more you study yourself, the more you realize your habits aren't built on motivation. They're built on design. The human brain loves patterns. It finds comfort in repetition, safety in the familiar, So instead of trying to change through force, you start changing through structure. You begin with small things. You keep your workspace clean, not because it looks nice, but because it invites focus. You put your running shoes by the bed, so the morning doesn't ask for a decision, it just continues the system. You turn your phone on silent during work, not because you're resisting distraction, but because you've removed its opportunity. Systems make the right thing easy and the wrong thing invisible. When you design your surroundings intentionally, you stop fighting your own biology. You stop negotiating with your weaker self. You simply step into a world that's designed for the person you want to become. Change is not about force, it's about friction. If the good choice has too much friction, you'll always fall back to the easy one. So you start removing friction from what matters. You automate the basics, you simplify routines, you reduce decisions. Because every decision costs energy, and energy is what powers consistency. The system isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing what matters effortlessly. You may not realize it, but every successful person you admire is not powered by motivation. They're powered by systems. Athletes don't wake up each day and decide whether they'll train. Writers don't wait for inspiration. Monks don't meditate when they feel ready. They've built structures that remove the choice altogether. Discipline doesn't mean doing hard things. It means building systems that make hard things normal. When your system becomes your identity, there's no more struggle, there's just alignment. You no longer try to be consistent, you simply are consistent because your days are designed that way. You see, when you rely on goals, you rely on intensity. When you rely on systems, you rely on identity. Intensity burns bright and fades fast. Identity burns slow and lasts forever. So instead of chasing bursts of energy, you start cultivating alignment. You stop saying, I want to achieve this. You start saying, I'm the kind of person who does this. True transformation begins there, not when you achieve something once, but when it becomes who you are. Take a moment to imagine your life as a simple, balanced rhythm. Every morning starts the same, not because it's boring, but because it sets the tone for everything that follows. A short routine, a bit of movement, a few moments of silence. Nothing grand, nothing glamorous, but deeply grounding. You start to realize that peace isn't found in excitement, it's found in predictability. It's not chaos that creates happiness, it's rhythm. The system gives you that rhythm, a sense of flow that doesn't depend on willpower. Your habits become music, your days become melody. And for the first time in a long while, you stop feeling like life is chasing you. You start to feel like you're guiding it. Here's a quiet truth. Every system you build should feel lighter than what came before. If your system feels like pressure, it will collapse. If it feels like rhythm, it will sustain you. So you simplify. You stop tracking every metric. Stop forcing massive routines. You focus on the smallest possible loop that keeps you consistent. Because systems grow best in silence, not through explosion, but through repetition. A small act done daily outweighs a big effort done rarely. A single consistent rhythm outlasts 100 motivational bursts. And slowly, day by day, you begin to see progress appear, not as a dramatic breakthrough, but as quiet proof that your system works. Then, one morning, you notice something beautiful. You didn't think about your system, you simply lived it. You didn't have to convince yourself anymore. It became instinct. When that happens, you know you've crossed the line from discipline to identity. You've built something stronger than motivation. You've built momentum. And momentum, once built, is unstoppable. It carries you forward even when you're tired. It lifts you on days you can't see progress. It becomes your silent engine, a force that keeps you steady through chaos, through doubt, through all the noise of the world. The system, when done right, isn't something you manage, it's something that manages you. It becomes your safety net, your compass, your quiet structure in a loud world. And once it's in place, life begins to feel effortless, not because it's easy, but because it's designed. There comes a day when you look back and realize you are no longer chasing balance. You are living it. Your mornings flow with a quiet rhythm. Your thoughts feel lighter. The same life that once felt heavy now feels intentional. You haven't escaped your responsibilities, you've organized them. A system, in its essence, is the invisible structure that carries your weight so your mind can stay free. And maybe for the first time, you understand that systems aren't cages, they're freedom in disguise. When you live without systems, your brain becomes a battlefield. Every day is a negotiation. What should I do first? Where do I start? Did I do enough today? And that noise, that endless mental chatter, is what drains your energy faster than anything else. But when you build systems, you quiet the noise. You stop spending energy on decisions and start spending it on creation. A well-designed system isn't about controlling your time, it's about protecting your attention. Because attention is life. Whatever you give it to, it grows. And your system decides where it flows. Imagine your mind as a garden. Without a system, weeds grow, distractions, anxieties, unfinished plans. With a system, the soil gets cleared. Focus finds space to bloom. You water what matters. You prune what doesn't. You give sunlight to your purpose. This is how systems change lives, not by adding pressure, but by bringing peace. You no longer wake up to chaos. You wake up to clarity. Because every morning now begins right where yesterday ended, not with confusion, but with continuation. Think about your phone for a moment. When too many apps run in the background, the battery dies faster. Your mind works the same way. Every open loop, every unfinished thought, every unorganized task runs silently in your mental background, draining energy, stealing presence. A system closes those loops. It turns chaos into clarity, randomness into rhythm. It's the reason you feel lighter when you start living system first, because your brain finally stops holding everything at once. You begin to see your time differently too. Instead of asking, how can I get more done today? You start asking, what system can make this easier tomorrow? You build habits that remove future effort. You create templates, routines, triggers. You stop repeating effort and start repeating structure. And this is how your days expand. Not by working harder, but by designing smarter. The truth is, goals create anxiety. Systems create flow. When you set a goal, you instantly create distance between where you are and where you think you should be. You begin living in a gap. You feel pressure to close it. But when you live by a system, you live inside progress itself. Every day becomes a step. Every moment becomes part of the process. There's no chasing, no guilt, just motion. And this is why systems always win, because they make growth inevitable. Here's something no one tells you. Success doesn't require intensity. It requires consistency without collapse. This is what your system protects: your energy, your patience, your peace. You no longer sprint and burn out. You glide and sustain. Your system carries you through on days when motivation fails. Because let's be honest, motivation will always fade, but design endures. When your life is built on design, you don't need to push yourself every morning. You just flow. You might start noticing this strange calm, a sense that life feels slower but more productive, a sense that you're doing less but achieving more. Because systems create order, and order creates freedom. You realize you have more time to think, more space to breathe, more silence to listen. That silence, that calm, isn't laziness, it's focus finding its home again. Your system has given your mind room to live. Now you begin to understand why the most peaceful people often seem so disciplined. It's not that they love control, it's that their systems protect their peace. They don't say yes to everything. They say yes to what their system allows. They don't overthink decisions. They've already decided once, through structure. They don't rely on emotional energy every day. They rely on designed consistency. And this is the real power of systems. They save you from the chaos that emotion creates. They turn discipline into ease and consistency into identity. When your life runs on systems, you start feeling something subtle but powerful, that your mind and body are finally aligned. You're no longer forcing things to happen. You're allowing them to happen because the system supports them. You feel less guilt because there's less confusion. You feel less overwhelmed because everything has its place. And slowly you realize, peace was never found in perfection. It was found in structure. At this point, the system has done something profound. It's reshaped how you see yourself. You no longer identify as someone chasing goals. You identify as someone who lives by design. You understand that success isn't about achieving something once, it's about maintaining something forever. And that requires systems, not goals. Because a goal can end, but a system can evolve, adopt, and grow with you. You don't reach it, you live it.
There's a quiet moment in every person's transformation when they realize something unexpected. Systems don't restrict your freedom, they create it. At first, it feels counterintuitive. We think freedom means doing whatever we want, whenever we want. But that kind of freedom is chaos in disguise. It leaves you scattered, restless, unanchored. True freedom is structure that protects what matters. It's the kind of design that makes space for the life you actually want to live. When your systems are strong, you no longer chase time, you own it. You begin your day knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You know what builds you and what drains you. There's no guilt when you rest because you've earned it through rhythm. There's no anxiety when you work because your system carries you forward. You're not reacting anymore. You're responding. You're not fighting life. You're flowing with it. This is what systems give you: freedom through intention. Once you reach this place, you notice something even more beautiful. Your creativity returns. Because creativity only exists when your mind feels safe. A disorganized life silences inspiration. It drowns it in noise. But a well-built system gives you silence. And silence gives birth to ideas. When your system holds the basics, your routines, your priorities, your energy, your mind is finally free to play again. You start to imagine, explore, and create without pressure, without distraction. The best ideas don't come from chaos. They come from calm. And calm is built through systems. Think of your system as a symphony. Every part of your life, your work, your rest, your learning, your relationships, plays a note. And when they're aligned, they create harmony. Without structure, it's noise. With structure, it's music. And that music becomes your life. Days flow into each other. You stop counting hours and start feeling presence. Your system begins to evolve with you too. You stop chasing optimization for its own sake. You start designing for meaning. You realize that not every system needs to be efficient. Some systems are meant to slow you down. Like having dinner without screens, or journaling before sleep, or walking without headphones. These are systems for the soul, designed not to make you faster, but to make you human again. Because the ultimate system is not one that makes you productive, it's one that makes you peaceful. You start seeing life differently. Every frustration becomes feedback. Every delay becomes data. Every mistake becomes a signal to refine your system. You stop blaming yourself for inconsistency. You start redesigning your environment for success. When you fail, you don't say, "I'm not good enough." You ask, "What part of my system broke?" That shift changes everything. Because now, failure becomes functional,
It's not an end, it's information. As your system strengthens, you also start protecting your boundaries. You realize that your time, your focus, your peace, they're all parts of your system too. And if you let others break those boundaries, your system starts to fall apart. So you learn the quiet power of no, not as rejection, but as preservation. You don't owe everyone your attention. You owe your system your consistency. Because everything that drains you cost your design something precious, stability. And without stability, there is no growth. Over time, your system becomes invisible. It's not something you check off anymore. It's something you live within. You no longer think about being consistent. You just are. You no longer chase focus, you have it. You no longer crave peace, you've built it. This is when you know your system isn't just working, it has become you. You realize that goals give you moments of happiness, but systems give you a lifetime of it. A goal is a destination. A system is a way of traveling. Goals can disappoint you. Systems sustain you. Because systems aren't built for achievement, they're built for alignment. They make sure your actions, your energy, and your identity all move in the same direction. And when that alignment happens, life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a balance. Think about this. You were never meant to live a life of constant self-correction. You were meant to live a life of flow. Systems give you that. They remove the need for constant decision-making. They remove the guilt of inconsistency. They remove the noise. And in that silence, you rediscover something precious, your clarity. Now your system has matured. It's no longer just about efficiency or performance. It's about meaning, purpose, and joy. You start creating systems for love, for connection, for gratitude, for presence. You check in with friends every Friday. You write one line of gratitude before bed. You call your parents every Sunday morning. They're not tasks, they're systems for emotional health. Because even emotions need structure. Even love needs rhythm. You stop asking, how do I get more out of life? And start asking, how do I give life more structure to breathe in? You realize that systems don't limit your humanity. They protect it. They hold you steady when emotions swing, when motivation fades, when seasons change. And that steadiness, that unshakable rhythm, is what real peace feels like.
There's a quiet morning when you wake up and realize you're not chasing improvement anymore. You're living it. The system has become invisible now, woven into the rhythm of your days, like breathing, like heartbeat, steady and effortless. You don't fight distraction. You don't negotiate with motivation. You simply exist inside the design you built. And in that realization, you discover something profound. The true discipline isn't about control. It's about peace. You've spent years thinking discipline was war, a battle between the version of you who wants comfort and the version who wants growth. But when your systems mature, you see it differently. Discipline was never punishment. It was love expressed through structure. It was your way of saying, I care about my future enough to build a life that serves it. And that life, that system, becomes your quiet form of self-respect. Now, each day begins with calm certainty. You no longer wake up asking what to do. You already know. Your routines are not obligations anymore. They're invitations to peace, to purpose, to progress. Every small act you repeat feels sacred in its simplicity. The first sip of water, the sound of your pen on paper, the brief silence before work begins. They're no longer chores. They're anchors. They remind you that mastery isn't about control, it's about surrendering to rhythm. There's a strange irony in this stage of life. You become more powerful precisely because you stop forcing power. You no longer push your will onto the world. You align with it. Your system becomes a kind of medication. Every repeated act trains your mind to stay present, to stay patient, to stay aware. And over time, you begin to see how this subtle design reshapes everything around you. Work becomes deeper, not harder.
Relationships become gentler, not louder. Time feels slower, but more alive. You used to think success meant more money, more speed, more recognition. Now you understand it differently. Success is not about what grows louder. It's about what grows quieter. When your life runs on aligned systems, you gain the freedom to move through the world without resistance. That is mastery. Not control, but harmony. You start seeing the beauty of small moments again. The sound of rain on the roof, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the slow rhythm of a day that doesn't rush. And in those moments, you realize that your system was never just about productivity. It was about peace. You built a structure that allows you to be fully human, to grow, to feel, to rest without guilt. That's what true self-mastery feels like. Not intensity, but ease. You look back on your old life, the endless goals, the constant pressure, the cycle of start and stop, and you feel compassion for that version of you. They were never lazy. They were lost in noise. They didn't need motivation. They needed clarity. They didn't need perfection. They needed systems. And now you've given them that gift. You've built a life that doesn't depend on mood or momentum. A life that runs quietly on rhythm and purpose. The truth is, you were never meant to be endlessly inspired. You were meant to be consistently aligned. Inspiration comes and goes, but alignment? Alignment stays. And alignment is born from systems. When your days flow from structure, you can't help but grow. When your actions are guided by design, you can't help but improve. You stop needing to force transformation because it's happening automatically. The system does the lifting, you just live inside it. In time, your system becomes your sanctuary. When the world feels chaotic, your routines keep you steady. When things fall apart, your structure holds. When energy fades, your rhythm remains. That's when you understand. You've built something eternal. Not a set of habits, but a way of existing. And that way of existing changes everything. One evening, you sit in quiet reflection. The sun sets slowly, the world glows golden. You take a breath, and it hits you. Your system has become your life. Not a tool, not a checklist, but a reflection of who you are and who you're becoming. You've become the kind of person who no longer chases change. You embody it. That's what happens when you stop setting goals and start building systems. You don't just change what you do, you change what you are. And maybe that's the real secret. The system was never about success at all. It was about freedom. It was about alignment. It was about peace. Because when your life runs on design, you finally have room to live it fully. To work without anxiety, to rest without guilt, to grow without fear. That is the quiet magic of systems over goals. Not noise, not struggle, just flow. And in that flow, you don't just achieve success, you become it.